Thanks to the awesome people over in Underworld Gaming, I got my hands on the Armageddon box set for the Cadians, which of course comes with two of the new vehicles, the Hippogriff and of course the Centaur or SV. So one is a transport and one is a kind of a lightly armed, kind of like scout hit and run style tank. It's very cool. And that's the one I'm most excited for. So in today's video, I'm going to tackle both of the Hippogriffs in this box set in one video. I'm going to get them all painted. They're going to be awesome. Before we get into the video, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone there that supports the channel in all the myriad of ways it is possible to do so, i.e. watching the videos, liking them if you enjoy them, dropping comments if you have questions, and making sure you're subscribed to all three channels. Those things cost you nothing, but they make a huge difference as to how many people see each video and how quickly the channel grows. And for everyone out there who goes the extra mile and supports over on Patreon, thank you guys so much. Without you, I could not keep the lights on and the cameras rolling. So at the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much. Obviously, there's a whole host of different reasons to be involved with the Patreon. You get extra videos, you get access to the podcast, you get access to the Discord server, and we do big giveaways every single month. And the month of May is no exception. This month, we are giving away this awesome Mechanicum Army box set. So if you want to be in with a chance of winning this, all you need to do is be signed up to Patreon at any tier, and it will be shipped anywhere in the world at my expense. So if that sounds like something that excites you, check it out, linked below. Okay, without further ado, let's dive in and get both of these tanks painted up. Okay, so this is the Hippogriff. As you can see, it's a very small but awesome looking tank. I built the thing entirely. The bits that I left off are the crew, which I decided to paint on my stream. If you didn't know that I stream every Tuesday and Thursday evening between 8 and 10 p.m. Irish time over on Twitch. It's all about accountability. It's about people showing up to the stream twice a week and getting 2 hours of dedicated time in each time. So that's 4 hours a week of hobby time. You show up to the stream consistently and you'll be surprised by how much cool hobby you get done. We also have a lot of laughs, and usually at my expense. But just in case you didn't know, that is also an option for you guys as well. I left off all the baggage and extra bits and pieces. Honestly, I just didn't have time to paint them all today, but they will get painted up and they will get added onto these tanks. I love all that extra kind of stowage look. And there's no way I'm not using every single extra piece you can possibly get with these, because I love them. When I was building these guys, I did have to stop and think about what the loadout was going to be. I'm not a big magnet guy when it comes to like, oh, I'll change the weapon option every game. No, I like to decide what this tank is, what its purpose is, and then build it completely and then use it like that for forever. And in the end, I decided to go with like a tank hunting annoyance squad. So both of the Hippogriffs have the melta cannons and a melta gun. So that's like 6 melta shots from this little squad. That's only like 140 points for the two tanks flying up the kind of flank of the table. They're not something you want to dedicate a whole lot of effort into killing, but it's also something you can't really ignore because of the potential damage output, which I think is really interesting and really fun. They're low profile, so they're going to be easy to kind of hide. And they move an extra d6 inches at the end of the turn, so they can pop out from behind terrain, fire off their melta cannons and melta shots, and then disappear in behind scenery again. So I think that's pretty cool. So that's what the loadout I decided to go with. And obviously, I'm going with my stippling technique. This has to match in with my already existing kind of new Cadian army. So obviously, I've already done a Rogel Dorn and stuff like that in this tone. So it starts with a Militarum green, and we're going with the stippling technique. So we use the Artis Opus brushes. And obviously I do 3 layers of stippling, getting lighter and lighter each time. And the idea is you get this really nice, like colored, like green armor. And you can see all the different tones all the way through the paint. It looks really awesome. It looks really natural. It doesn't look super flat. Like if you ever looked at a tank, it doesn't look like a plastic green. You know what I mean? It looks like loads of different tones all mashed into one. And I think this really sells that effect. Wild Flesh is the second green tone that we stipple with. And as you can see, I'm going along the edges again, going up the body. And as you can see, I'm being a little bit more controlled. I'm deciding where I want to stipple that in, and I'm using a lot less force to apply the green paint. I will as well show you kind of a side-by-side between the kind of the first coat and the second coat, so you can see how different the paints look. Well, you can still definitely see that first green shining through. The second green is definitely adding a more kind of militaristic look to it, which is really awesome. As you can see, it does make a huge difference. And obviously when we jump up to that third coat as well, and that's going to make an even crazier difference. And for that, we're going right up to Lauren Forest, which is obviously quite a bright green. But you can see how little of the Lauren green I'm leaving behind with each kind of press of the brush. I'm going very, very light, and there's very little paint on the brush. And it's just basically acting as like the kind of highlight color for the greens. And all in all, that looks really good. We will be doing kind of a dry brush edge highlight later on with some silver. I like adding some weathering and scuff marks to my tanks. We've got a couple of steps to go before we get to that. And I definitely didn't forget to paint the wheels as I was going through, and have to go back to stage 1 again and go through all the wheel sections, not realizing that they're military green as well. That didn't happen, so don't worry about this footage at all. Okay, with the green kind of at its kind of final point, I know it looks a little bit awful right now. Please do trust the process. Let me get to the end and then judge it then. So the first thing we're going to do is get some solid lead belcher, and then we're going to pick out all the details on this tank that need to be silver. So there's obviously some handholds, there's some silver aquillas, there's some exhaust ports, and there's like winch cabling and suspension, all those kind of bits and pieces. So basically just explore the tank, try and find all the bits and pieces that you think need to be silver, and then give it a nice solid coat of lead belcher. Then obviously you have the melta gun and melta cannon on the turret. These are kind of quite nice weapons because out of all the weapons, they have the most different colors on them. They've got like a black casing, they've got silver, and then they have the other metallic color, which is like a brassy bronze color for the tip. So it does look kind of a little bit more interesting. It pops a little bit more than just any of the normal cannons, which are like silver, or else they're like that military green. Okay, with all those metallic bits painted in, it's time to start working on the black sections. So we have some Black Legion. Like I said, there's some casing bits on the melta cannon. And then there's a few other details on the tanks. Not least of all, the 12 wheels that I had to go in and carefully block in with this color, and making sure not to hit any of the suspension-y bits, or also not hitting any of the center kind of military green sections. This stage was a tiny bit tedious just because it was the repetitive nature of it. I don't like repetitive painting. So yeah, but we got it done, and obviously it made a huge difference about breaking up the tank. Because obviously they're quite messy before you go in and do this step. And then all of a sudden it just kind of tidies it up. I do like the stage of painting where you're kind of blocking in all the rest of the colors, and it just neatens up the whole tank, and you start to see even the green just looks better when it's not sat next to a bunch of messy other details, if that makes sense. Although 12 wheels was kind of annoying, it was satisfying with the final result. Now we're going to add a little bit of black tone or null oil or whatever dark shade you like. And we're just going to shade down all of that metallics that there is across the tank. I do love the tow cable that's stretched across the front of this. The other one doesn't have it, so they're a little bit distinct, and you get the little rivet bits to put in instead. Or you could put them both in with them if you want, but it's just totally up to you. If you see those little like headlights there just below that are still green, if you wait till the end of the video, you'll also notice that I completely forgot about them and they weren't painted at all. So maybe I only noticed that now, and we'll have to go back and paint them as well. So I do apologize at the end of the video. Those will not be painted. Whoops. Okay, time for transfers. There's lots of really nice blank surfaces for transfers, and I love transfers. I've shown transfers a million times, so I'm not going to bore you with cutting them all out and applying the micro set and, pushing them down and varnishing them and any of that kind of stuff. There's a video I have on painting transfer or applying transfers. You can go check that out if you want to see how I did it. But there's a million on this tank. I think I put a total of over 20 transfers across the two tanks. Some of the like random scrawl for Cadia stands. The name, this guy's Spiker. I have a bit of graffiti on the top where obviously the tank commander has written Cadia stands and has a kill tally on the top. Little inspection ports have symbols on them and all that kind of stuff. This is Frostbite, the second of them, so it's Spiker and Frostbite, which I think is two really suitable names for these small, like annoying biting tanks. So I really do like that. So transfers always add so much. Anyone who doesn't use transfers, I think you're insane. Learn how to use them, and it will change everything about how you do hobby. They're a fantastic resource. Okay, now that all that detail is on, we can finally start doing that weathering I talked about. So first things first, we are going to get some lead belcher again, and we're going to lightly dry brush this across the entire tank, catching all those sharp edges, all those corners, everywhere where the tank would have been rubbed against scenery or have, soldiers climbing up and down it or whatever. Tanks should not be pristine. They should always be kind of battered and damaged. Even just a little bit of wear and tear. It's more natural looking. It makes it look less like a toy and more like a cool kind of military vehicle. After that, we went through the process of painting in all of the lights and sensors and stuff. We went through the 3 layers of red, Fist on Evil Sons and Wild Rider, and then a dot of white in the corner, which obviously gives us that effect. There's a bunch of different lights and sensors. So when you do that, it adds another kind of like nice spark of color to the tank, all the reds. And it starts to break it up. You can see now how it's not just a flat green tank like how it looked 5 minutes ago. And all these extra details really do kind of make it pop. I could definitely see myself adding another 2 units of these and having 6 of them driving around the table. I think that would be really cool. And it's something I might do in the future. I'm wondering, will these things be sold in a pack of 2? A little bit of brown pigment. I love using pigment as well, but I hate working with pigment. The look and effect you get is great, but it's such an awful thing. It gets everywhere. So you can see me, got my rubber gloves up. I've got a box filled with old pigment and stuff because I think it's the safest way to work on it. I'm just going to apply this brown to all the wheels and into the undercarriage and all the mud guards and stuff. So I've done like the bottom half of the tank quite dirty. And then obviously on the top of the tank, I've gone a little bit less. I didn't want to go totally brown like I do with my Krieg tanks. I just want a little bit in corners and stuff. And then obviously you put a thick layer of varnish on top of that and you are left with this result. And I think it's stunning. I now have, like I said, Spiker and Frostbite ready to start serving the Cadians in my army. And I can't wait to get them on the table. I think these 2 turned out great. They were absolutely a delight to paint. I love them. Once again, a huge thank you to Underworld Gaming, who very kindly sent me out that box set, as well as all the other new 40k box sets to try out and build and paint for you guys. So if you want to see all the other videos, please do make sure you subscribe and make sure you check out Underworld Gaming, linked down below as well, for all your hobby purchasing needs in Ireland. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. I'll see you in the next one.